This week on the Brody File, Christmas has come early for the GOP. Obamacare is the present under the tree. We go one-on-one with Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus. Are you going to send him a thank you card over Obamacare?
It's like in Christmas Vacation, the Jelly of the Month Club when Clark says, or when Cousin Eddie says, Clark, it's the Jelly of the Month Club. It's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year round.
And our John Jessup goes one-on-one with Charles Krauthammer from Fox News. Yes, he was once a liberal.
People ask me, how do you go from Walter Mondale to Fox News? As I explain in the book, the answer is simple. I was young once.
Plus, an epic pro-life battle in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The stakes are extremely high.
I really think we're looking at David and Goliath round 3.
The Brody File. We are packing heat from D.C. Hey, wait a minute, is that legal? Anyhow, we're on across America. And welcome everybody to the Brody File show. Look, we are happy you're with us, but you know who is really happy? That's right, Stuart, the salsa dancing dog, who's going to bust a move right now to get us in a festive mood. All right, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to picture Stuart, that dog, as a Republican. Can you see Stuart, the Republican, dancing? That's right, folks, Republicans dancing up a storm politically because Obamacare keeps on turning into more of a disaster. And so, we now bring you the latest episode from the soap opera, As Obamacare Turns.
Brody File presents As Obamacare Turns. Brought to you by the taxpayer.
All right, so let's see. The website's a disaster. Millions of people are getting cancellation notices. The president is being called a liar, even by liberals. And his approval rating is down to an all-time low of 42%. So all of this means a huge opportunity for Republicans to do very well in the upcoming 2014 midterm elections. Now, who better to talk about this than Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus? We sat down with him this week in D.C. to discuss the state of Obamacare and how the GOP can cash in politically. So, Chairman, let me ask you, is this an early Christmas present for the RNC?
Well, unfortunately, there's two answers to that. One, politically, the answer is yes. I mean, obviously, politically, the answer is let Obamacare go through. We'll tattoo it to their foreheads and beat them in 2014. The problem with the political answer is that it's a painful thing for a lot of people. And you know, the politics aside, this thing's a monstrosity. We tried everything we could. The government was shut down. The president wouldn't negotiate. We did everything that we could possibly do to stop it. And it's here. I don't think it's going to get better no matter what type of fixes the president thinks he's going to put through.
So with this Obamacare fix, do you get a sense that the president is setting up the insurance companies as the bad guys here?
That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to shift the conversation, not so much in Washington. He's trying to shift the conversation at the kitchen table. And so what he's trying to do is put the blame on insurance companies so that when families are sitting around and having this difficult conversation, they can maybe blame someone else other than the president. The problem is we know that that fix isn't a fix at all. It's not going to change anything. And the bigger problem now, of course, is that young, healthy people are not going to be signing up for Obamacare, which then the actuarial results will be a real problem when the prices go through the roof.
So you may do well in 2014 because of Obamacare, but that doesn't necessarily translate to 2016.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good point. I mean, we kind of have two different Republican parties. We've got a midterm party that, quite frankly, we win about everything imaginable. I mean, we've been doing well in midterms. It's very message-driven, and our message of not spending more than you take in, Obamacare is not the right answer. It's a strong message. The presidential, however, we've been having trouble for 24 years, really. I mean, winning a decisive presidential race. And so I agree with you. I think Obamacare is going to be a big problem for Democrats in 2014. I like where we're sitting in the Senate and holding the House. Governors look strong. But what we need to do as a national party is, number one, have a ground game that's permanent, fix our data and digital issues, which is about a $40 million upgrade, and then also present the vision for America that's not just know about Obamacare, but the vision moving forward for what we need to do to get our country back on track.
We've heard a lot of talk that the Republican Party is against this and against that. What does the Republican Party actually have to do to get out their message about Republican proposals as it relates to health care?
Well, I mean, for one thing, I mean, we have our bread and butter message, which, you know, on the debt and the deficit and the budget, you know, and I think Paul Ryan has done a great job of being a go-to person on that issue, and I think we can hone that issue in, all of our members being on the same page with getting our debts and deficits under control. That's one thing. But the second thing is we do have a message on health care, and I think everyone has to repeat the same thing. I mean, we've never tried open pricing. I mean, we've never actually, the Congress has never taken a shot at open pricing. What would it look like if hospitals listed out the prices of everything they charge for and people had more control over making those decisions? We never tried getting junk lawsuits under control in this country. What would that do to the price of healthcare? Would it lower the price of healthcare? We think that it will. We've never tried allowing people to pool their resources together, to get small businesses together, get individuals that are self-employed, put them together and let them purchase healthcare coverage at a lower price. I mean, we have never tried three basic things that we believe will lower the cost of healthcare. That's what we need to be talking about, I think, out on the campaign trail. And I think we also need to talk about it in interviews like this more.
So have you gone to Hallmark at all and gotten one of those thank you cards for Obama? Are you going to send him a thank you card over Obamacare?
It's like in Christmas Vacation, the Jelly of the Month Club when Clark says, or when Cousin Eddie says, Clark, it's the Jelly of the Month Club, it's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year round. Well, it's not good for this country, but obviously politically it's been a nightmare for the Democrats.
Reince Priebus here on the Brody File. Look, it's not only Republicans bashing the president, it's liberals too. Now I want you to watch what Bill Maher had to say on his HBO show. So first you're going to see Democratic National Committee Chairman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's going to defend the president, but then watch Maher.
It was not a lie, but let's just be very clear. So let me knock that down right away. When the president and myself and every other Democrat that talked about that if you like your health care, you can keep it, that was referring to the overwhelming majority of Americans who had health care. 85% of Americans had health care coverage to begin with. And in fact, what the reality of Obamacare is that not only are they able to keep their health care, but it is very likely going to cost less and have better benefits.
Let's be honest. Obamacare says, basically, if you have a really crappy plan, you can't keep it. That's the truth. Some people, now, I would say to some people, why do you want a crappy plan? But some people want crap. Yeah. What can I say? And because of Obamacare, they are not being able to keep it. To me, that is a lie.
Well, look, it's not good news for the Obama administration when you start losing liberals like Bill Maher. And how about another liberal columnist, Ruth Marcus at the Washington Post? Here's what she had to say, quote, "The promise and the apology are the bookends of effective politics. President Obama has tragically and perhaps irreparably flubbed both." And she continues to talk about the president, knowing that some folks will not be able to keep their health care plans. And she says this, quote, "That the administration knew this and failed to anticipate the inevitable outcry is political malpractice of the highest order." And then she goes on to say, quote, "Obama's actual apology was for the wrong thing. The problem wasn't the crafting for the law to work. Inadequate policies have to end sometime. It was the misleading selling and botched implementation." And then she finally concludes, quote, "Can he recover? I'm sorry to say I'm not at all confident." And now from a Ruth Marcus commentary to this week's Brody File commentary. Well, we got a recent email from the White House when we posted this column entitled President Pinocchio. In the article, the Brody File lays out the hard, plain facts that the president simply lied to the American people when he said, if you like your doctor and your health care plan, you could keep them. It is simply not true, folks, and he knew it. To make matters worse, his apology really wasn't an apology at all. He's more sorry about how the bill was structured rather than the trust that people placed in him. And so now he says that the plan you can get on the Obamacare website, whenever that actually starts working again, will actually be better than your old one. Well, hold on a minute. Even if that's true, and by the way, for many it's not going to be true, President Pinocchio is changing the focus now. I mean, why didn't he say that when he was out selling Obamacare to America? Where was that talk then? Look, the simple fact is that the president lied, and now he's trying to wiggle out of it with an asterisk. He's trying to worm his way out of it by telling those who are getting cancellation notices that he's really just trying to give you better benefits and a better way of life. Well, look, that's not the issue at all. The issue is that he lied. All right, coming next, an interview with Charles Krauthammer from Fox News, talking about his liberal youth, his days as a physician, and his love of baseball. We are back in a moment.
Fresh, wholesome juice. There's nothing like it. But until now, you had to stress and strain and make a huge mess to get just a little bit of juice. But not anymore, thanks to the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. You can drop in whole vegetables, whole fruits, apples, oranges, celery, cucumbers with no chopping, no slicing, no struggling. And thanks to the Power Juicer's revolutionary patented extraction technology, you can get up to 30% more juice than those other juicers. Doctors recommend we get 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. With the Power Juicer, you'll be drinking your recommended daily allowance in just seconds. And the pulp from the extra large pulp catcher can be used to make pasta sauces, healthy desserts, and much more. The Power Juicer is dishwasher safe, so cleanup's a breeze, and the powerful motor is guaranteed for life. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 easy payments of $49.90. And as part of this special TV offer, we'll also send you this amazing recipe guide filled with over 60 of Jack's favorite recipes. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price, no questions asked. Call now.
Life can be tough. There are challenges for all of us. Jesus told us to pray for one another, and that's exactly what we want to do. On 700 Club Interactive, we use technology to bring Christians together to pray for each other. Meet others just like you and talk or share with them in real time. Watch God work miracles in people's lives. Be part of 700 Club Interactive, weekdays at 11 a.m. on CBN.com.
And we're back here on the Brody File show. You know, one thing we like to do is give you a different look at some of the media personalities that you see on your TV screen. Well, this week, get ready for Charles Krauthammer with Fox News. You may know him for his conservative commentary on politics, but we now want to have you get to know a little bit more about his personal story and how he went from a speechwriter for liberal Walter Mondale to a leading voice in the conservative movement. He's got a new book out, and John Jessup checks in with that story.
Charles Krauthammer says one of his defining moments came when he was a young physician at Massachusetts General Hospital.
So with 4 months to go in my residency and looking at a precipice at the end, out of the blue, one of the professors at Harvard I'd written a paper with, where I had discovered a form of manic depressive disease. He co-authored it. We worked together. Out of the blue, he gets appointed by Jimmy Carter, head of the National Institutes of Mental Health. The second I heard that, I went into his office. I said, Jerry, I hear that in Washington, if you go down there with without a right-hand man, they're going to eat you alive. He said, where'd you hear that? I said, well, I kind of made it up, but you're going to need a right-hand man. And he said, and who might that be? I said, you're looking at him, sir. He said, okay, you got the job. But if Jimmy Carter hadn't appointed this professor of mine out of the blue, for reasons having nothing to do with me, to that job, I don't know where I'd be. And I surely would not be here on the set with you.
You may be still practicing medicine somewhere.
I would be practicing medicine. I don't know. I'd be working with rats, probably.
Well, some might say in Washington you're still working with...
Yeah, that's a very good point. Not that different.
For a man who enjoys tackling the complexities of life, he has a simple explanation for his political conversion.
You know, people ask me, how do you go from Walter Mondale to Fox News? As I explain in the book, the answer is simple. I was young once.
In his book, he writes about politics, but he also reveals his great loves and obsessions: family, chess, the cunning of cats, and baseball.
I like things that are hard and beautiful and elegant, and that would apply to gymnastics. That would apply to poetry. That would apply to opera. I mean, things that show human excellence. I happen to like it in baseball because I play the game. So when I see a shortstop going into the hole to field a grounder with a backhand and then has a jump throw to get it to first base, I sort of know in my bones how hard that is. I don't quite know the same when I watch a ballet once an opera. That's not what I did. So I think you sort of love what you know in many ways. And because I know it, I love it, and I love to see it played.
Are you optimistic, and should Americans continue to be optimistic about our future?
I've always had a sense of a providential hand in American history. You know, the founding generation, we were just a small little people at the edge of Western civilization, separated by the Atlantic Ocean, and we produced the greatest generation of political geniuses, the founders, in the history of the human species. That's sort of miraculous. In the 19th century, we needed a Lincoln, we got a Lincoln. 20th, we needed an FDR to get us through the Depression and the Second World War, and we got that. In the second half, we needed a Reagan to restore our spirits and to restore our energy and to win the Cold War, and we got a Reagan. I don't know that we're going to get a savior. That's not exactly what I mean, but there's something about, and I think it's grounded in the basic decency, goodness, and common sense of the ordinary American, of the American citizen. So I remain eternally optimistic about America.
Thank you, John. Some nice perspective from Charles Krauthammer. All right, when we roll on from D.C., are you looking at the next president of the United States? Is Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker thinking about running for top commander in Cheesehead? We're going to explore it next.
We created this website as a place where kids can learn the Bible in a whole new way.
Kids will love Superbook.tv. Their games, the ability to create your own personal Superbook characters. We even have a place for kids to listen to music on Superbook Radio.
Superbook is CBN's animated series that teaches the Bible through the eyes of two friends and their robot sidekick. We're going to tell stories all the way from creation to Christ's return.
The website also teaches kids life lessons. Parents can spend time online with their kids learning about the Bible.
Superbook and Superbook.tv are entirely gospel-centered, and by supporting it, you'll help bring God's Word to children all over the world.
We're reaching a new generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Together, we can give today's kids the truth of the Bible in a fun and exciting way that will change their lives.
Visit Superbook.tv today.
I always wore a mask. I would never let anyone see what I really felt inside. My whole life, all I wanted to hear was that I love you and I want you. I just realized all of the horrible things that I've done in the past to feel loved and accepted. They were fleeting, it didn't matter. The relationship that I wanted my whole life was right there for me, and it was Jesus.
We're back here on the Brody File. Time now to start thinking about the 2016 presidential election. Hey, folks, it is never too early. So first, let's be clear, and you're going to need to sit down for this so we can break this news to you gently. The Brody File, we're not running for president of the United States. I know, you're disappointed, we apologize. One guy, though, who is clearly serious about throwing his hat into the ring, in the room, is Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. The top cheesehead has been laying hints for months, but just recently he spoke with ABC News about what kind of candidate should run for president.
So describe for me the ideal Republican presidential candidate in 2016.
I think it's got to be an outsider. I think both the presidential and the vice presidential nominee should either be a former or current governor, people who've done successful things in their states, who've taken on big reforms, who are ready to move America forward.
So that rules out Marco Rubio, it rules out Ted Cruz, it rules out Rand Paul.
All good guys, but it's got to be somebody who is viewed as being exceptionally removed from Washington.
Your criteria also would rule out Paul Ryan.
Yeah, and I love Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan, if he had a fan club, I'd be the president of that.
Hey, look, folks, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Scott Walker is going to run for president. And when he does, he's going to run as the ultimate outsider who can shake things up in Washington. You know, a couple of years ago, the Brody File actually spent some time out in Wisconsin with Scott Walker. We were at the governor's residence. And here's a clip from the Brody File video vault where he talks about God's plan for his life.
All this is just a temporary thing, and God's got a plan for us that who knows where it might be, even beyond just serving as governor of this state. But if we stay true to that, there's always comfort, and God's grace is abundant no matter what you do.
Get ready to hear a whole lot more about Scott Walker in the next couple of years. All right, coming up next, we head to Albuquerque, New Mexico to check in on one of the biggest pro-life legislative stories to come along in quite some time. Brody File, back in a moment.
Fresh, wholesome juice. There's nothing like it. But until now, you had to stress and strain and make a huge mess to get just a little bit of juice. But not anymore, thanks to the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. You can drop in whole vegetables, whole fruits, apples, oranges, celery, cucumbers with no chopping, no slicing, no struggling. And thanks to the Power Juicer's revolutionary patented extraction technology, you can get up to 30% more juice than those other juicers. Doctors recommend we get 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. With the Power Juicer, you'll be drinking your recommended daily allowance in just seconds. And the pulp from the extra large pulp catcher can be used to make pasta sauces, healthy desserts, and much more. The Power Juicer is dishwasher safe, so cleanup's a breeze, and the powerful motor is guaranteed for life. Order the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer now for just 2 easy payments of $49.90. And as part of this special TV offer, we'll also send you this amazing recipe guide filled with over 60 of Jack's favorite recipes. Try the Jack LaLanne Power Juicer in your home risk-free for 30 days. If you're not completely satisfied, send it back for a full refund of the purchase price, no questions asked. Call now.
I was always on the cusp of exploding. So I figured out if I get rid of the wife and the kids, then I can just send them money. Went to the junk drawer, I got the Bible out, put the tape in, and I believe that moment, Christ made sense. There is no earthly reason why we're still married. It is a divine intervention, and I thank God, and showing me what love, grace, and forgiveness looks like.
And welcome back to the Brody File, everybody. All right, look, this past week, pro-life forces descended on Albuquerque, New Mexico, because that was ground zero for the next big fight in the war over abortion. So here's the issue. Pro-lifers were pushing a city ordinance that would protect babies beginning at 20 weeks. This is called the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Ordinance. Now, the thinking here was that if pro-lifers prevail, then that would build some serious momentum for a federal bill which would apply to all states. Well, it didn't work out too well in Albuquerque, and joining me now, Marjorie Dannenfelser from Susan B. Anthony List. Marjorie, thanks for being here.
I've been looking forward to being here. It's a good place to be with friends today.
Well, appreciate that. Look, what happened? What happened in Albuquerque, and what were some of the dynamics there that kind of led to the frustrating loss there?
Well, I really think we're looking at David and Goliath round 3. Round 1 being the Obama-Romney election. Number 2, Virginia, where we got stomped again. And round 3, here, an extremely popular issue, a third trimester and a little bit beyond ban, completely embraced by the Hispanic community, by pretty much every demographic in that town, and yet we lost. So it's a time really to take a deep breath and ask an important question about why, when such an incredibly popular issue, completely organically brought up from the grassroots, put on the ballot, why do we lose? Is it because all of a sudden people change their mind in a period of a couple of months? No. There is a perfect coordination, a lovely harmony on the other side. In that election, there was the Obama campaign, Organizing for America, the National Democratic Party, Planned Parenthood, and the locals on the ground, and the ACLU. You might not realize, they might not realize that, of course, we didn't have all that. We had what we have, and we had the organizations on the ground, and we were outspent 4-1. It's amazing what great on-the-ground turnout operations can do, and Organizing for America is brilliant at it. We might as well go ahead and say it.
Where do you go from here in terms of, in a way, kind of getting everybody, not just lockstep, but getting more folks to the fight, if you will?
I think getting more folks to the fight is exactly what's going to have to happen. And there are good people in the Republican Party. There are good people in all sorts of other organizations. There will be good people in the presidential campaign on the Republican side. And it's those people who we're going to be talking to.
Well, the pro-lifers are going to continue to battle on no matter what. All right, one more story before we head to break. Have you heard about the big family feud between Liz Cheney and Mary Cheney? They're sisters. Their dad, of course, is the former Vice President Dick Cheney. Well, Liz is running for the Senate in Wyoming, and she supports traditional marriage. Good for her. Mary, her sister, is gay and married under the law. So here is Liz on Fox News Sunday.
I don't believe we got to discriminate against people because of their sexual orientation. If people are in a same-sex relationship and they want their partner to be able to have health benefits or be designated as a beneficiary under life insurance, there's no reason we shouldn't do that. I also don't support amending the Constitution on this issue. I do believe it's an issue that's got to be left up to the states. I do believe in the traditional definition of marriage.
Mary says her sister is on the wrong side of history, and she says she refuses to see her sister for Christmas. Oy Gavolt, this sounds like it's headed for the Dr. Phil show. All right, we're back in a moment with an Oy Vey moment of the week that will have the wives in this country none too happy. We'll see you in a moment.
We created this website as a place where kids can learn the Bible in a whole new way.
Kids will love Superbook.tv. Their games, the ability to create your own personal Superbook characters. We even have a place for kids to listen to music on Superbook Radio.
Superbook is CBN's animated series that teaches the Bible through the eyes of two friends and their robot sidekick. We're going to tell stories all the way from creation to Christ's return.
The website also teaches kids life lessons. Parents can spend time online with their kids learning about the Bible.
Superbook and Superbook.tv are entirely gospel-centered, and by supporting it, you'll help bring God's Word to children all over the world.
We're reaching a new generation with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Together, we can give today's kids the truth of the Bible in a fun and exciting way that will change their lives.
Visit Superbook.tv today.
Finding video on CBN.com just got easier. We've taken all our video, the 700 Club, news, testimonies, teachings, plus our 24/7 channels, and put them in one convenient location, CBN TV. Watch what you want, when you want. It's all simple to find, and now easier than ever to email a story to a friend. CBN TV on CBN.com.
And we're back here on the big show that we like to call the Brody File. All right, well, look, if we had a Jerk of the Week segment, this next guy would win it hands down. Instead, we're going to have to settle for the Oy Vey moment of the week. All right, men, listen up. Here is a good lesson in what not to do when it comes to your wife. Do not, whatever you do, don't blow her off. Don't make her look like she's a nuisance, because here is Steve Lonegan. He's the guy that lost the Senate race in New Jersey earlier in the month. Check out what he does to his wife during his concession speech.
I have spent the last 20 years of my life in politics serving the people of New Jersey in the way I thought I best could.
Can we see that again on the Brody File instant replay camera? Can we see that? Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Your wife's trying to console you and you blow her off. That is not cool at all. That's Oy Vey. As a matter of fact, that is the Oy Gavolt level here at the Brody File. By the way, our best guess is that Mr. Lonegan was very lonely. He was probably sleeping in the doghouse that evening, and maybe even longer than that. That is disgraceful. And that does it for this week, everybody. Until next time, God bless. Have a great week.